Okay, that's a 1/2 inch spacer, and that is not enough. I can prove to you that it was hitting. So you see the cone coming in contact with the paper. Right there. And that's on only 50 watts RMS. This was hooked up on 100 watts RMS. So this spacer needs to be at least twice as tall. And then it was installed with this spacer directly up against the bag. So it was definitely coming in contact. The other issue I have is this blocks a lot of the output, and it also creates wheezing. This is basically a whole bunch of little ports in front of the speaker, which changes the sound, causes noise, reduces output. All right, the 6-9 was clearly hitting, and from being pushed into the side of the ring, you could see how the rubber is now deformed. I'm gonna try and heat it up and see if I can bring it back. We got Leo routering some PVC spacers so it won't happen again. Fixing stupid?
Yes.
So we routed the opening larger, that way it clears the magnet. I'm sorry, it clears the cone. So he's gonna knock those out, and then we have some appropriate waterproof spacers. Now it's no longer hitting. We have clearance all the way around. Wrap in waterproof material, and we have a proper spacer. With a router and a quick PVC template, you can make nice clean cuts for your 6x9s. So now we'll be able to install the speaker from behind, do our protective grill, and there'll be no obstruction of the sound coming through. Okay, so Saul started with a 3/4 inch of expanded PVC. He routed it out and then contoured it on the bandsaw. So now it's made of 100% plastic, it's waterproof. This is the piece they had in there. It's made out of wood, and it already started to expand. It was 3/4, it is now 1/2 inch from how much it expanded. So this is an okay way to do it. This is a better way to do it. And then if you notice, they only had 3/4 of it mounted and then just the flange. The way Saul did it, the speaker sits completely flat and then it contours to the bag. Now he wrapped the entire thing in grill cloth. So it's going to keep the water and dirt from getting in. It's just a better way to do it. Okay, so we have the bags routed out. We couldn't do anything about those holes because those holes were drilled outside of the oval. But this side came out nice and clean. So we have expanded PVC plastic, stacked rings, contoured to the shape of the bag. You can tell because there's no gaps. And wrapped, protected from the elements, no water, no dirt getting in there. And then we get 100% of the sound coming out. Quick disconnects on the side of the bag. So I'll place the bag on to show them how quickly and easily it could be reinstalled onto the bike. Here we have the connectors where it can be plugged in quickly. Cannot be plugged in backwards. So we did new lower grills with matching screws, all 4 screws in, all nice and flush. Both sides. All the wiring cleaned up under the seat. You no longer have to remove the seat to remove the bags. Obviously, we couldn't do anything about the notch that was already cut in there, but as you can see, there's no wires running through that notch. Okay, this bike's done. It's ready to go home. Reason we don't have the front wrapped up is we have to wait for the tweeters to come back from warranty. Obviously, they hooked the tweeter up to the cigarette lighter, so they blew that tweeter up. And the other one, they just overdrove it and didn't have the crossover set right on the DSP. So we have the 4 6x9s in the bags playing, 2 horns in the bags, diamond 6x9s in the lowers, diamond 6.5 in the uppers, and this thing sounds really good. I'm not a big fan of 6x9s in the bags, but these diamond 6x9s did their thing. So no subs or mid bass drivers in the bag. We're running 4 diamond audio MS69 CXs in the bags. We actually don't have the tweeter on the 6x9 plane, so they could produce more bass. So we bandpass them from 60 hertz to 500 hertz, so the tweeter does not play, but we have a diamond audio horn driver in the bag hooked up to one of the front channels. So this thing came out pretty good. Sounds better than I thought we'd be able to make it sound. 2 diamond audio micro 4 amplifiers. Check it out. Okay, so this Road Glide's going home tomorrow. What you got to remember about this bike is this bike's only a year old. So whatever shop got their hands on this bike completely destroyed this bike. So we did our best to bring it back to life, treat it with respect. We installed the Dakota digital gauges. We repaired the speaker pods. We sent the tweeters out for warranty. So the radio's flashed. CarPlay is activated without the need for a wind module. We reinstalled the speakers in the lowers and gapped them correctly and used the proper screws in them. But most importantly, we redid all the wiring. We pulled all the old wiring out and changed all the wiring in the bike. Everything's completely serviceable. So now the bike looks really, really good. We used the Metro amp rack. So the amps, if you remember, the amps were in the bag. So now we have 1 diamond audio micro 4 under the radio and the 2nd diamond audio above the headlight. DSP is also mounted under the radio. So everything is cleaned up. Everything is Stinger oxygen-free copper. All the wiring is clean. Nothing hanging out. The mess in the bag is completely cleaned up. No more amplifiers in the bag. It's a shame that they did that to the bag to run the harness. So there's nothing we can do about that. But it's a huge difference from the way it came in. So this one's ready to go home. Something I forgot to mention earlier is I'm really surprised we got this much output out of the 6x9s in the bags, considering we're only getting 75 watts to each 6x9. You have to remember, this was a wiring rescue, so we did not get to pick the equipment on the bike. The bike came in with 2 diamond audio micro 4s, V2s. So in the correct configuration, like let's say just 2 6x9s, we could have gotten 300 watts to each one. But being that it was two 6x9s in each bag, that leaves us with either a 2 ohm load per side, which the amplifier can't do bridged. So we have to go with an 8 ohm load per side, which makes the amplifier, even though it can do 300 by 300 bridged, since it's seeing half the impedance that it wants to see, it's seeing 8 ohms instead of 4 ohms, it does 150 watts per side, which is 75 watts per 6x9. It still sounds really good, and the only reason we get away with it is these 6x9s are pretty efficient. These Diamond Audio 6x9s are pretty efficient, so they play loudly with a little bit of power. But we're able to get all this bass, A, because we have the DSP properly tuned, and B, 6x9s are really efficient. We bandpassed them because we have a horn-loaded tweeter in the bag, so we didn't need the tweeter in the 6x9 to play. So we bandpassed them, so the tweeter's actually not playing. The speaker's not giving us any upper mid-range at all. We have them bandpassed from, I think, 60 hertz to 500 hertz, and that's how we got the most output out of them. So I'm really happy with the performance of this Diamond Audio amp. Even at half power, it gets down, it gets pretty loud. If we were to do a similar setup with 4 6x9s in the bags using our equipment, so to keep everything in the fairing like we did on this one, we would use an 800.1 Sound Digital to run the 4 6x9s. That would give us a 200 watt per 6x9. So we would use the 800 watts across all 4. That would give us 200 watts per 6x9. If we had more room, let's say we used the Lex rack, then we would run either a 1202 or maybe even a 1600.1. So 1600.1 would give us 400 watts to each 6x9, but I think a 1202 would be more realistic, and we'd end up with 300 watts per 6x9. So they could definitely take the power because we tested them on 400 watts each, and they did just fine. So it'd be interesting to see a 1202 or 1600.1 across 4 6x9s in the bags. Maybe we'll try that one next.